What's up, upstanders? Dr. O here. Before I start, I want to let you know that you're going to hear some graphic language in this particular post. Not cursing, I don't do that on this platform, but I'm talking about some things as it relates to sexual violence and assault. As I talk about what's taking place in Congo and why John Legend should not be performing in Kigali, I'm also going to be sharing a poem at the end of this that is a detailed account of what I saw in my own experiences working in refugee camps in Congo. I'm so disappointed and saddened to know that John Legend will be performing in Kigali with Paul Game right there on stage. And I'm disappointed in Global Citizen. Global Citizen clearly has a mission that doesn't include Congolese citizens, because if it did, it would not be performing or wouldn't be hosting events for so many years in Kigali. The fact of the matter is, there's a reason why many people call Paul Kagame Africa's Hitler. And John Legend, with so much that you do as an activist, as an artist, of everything that you've done to lift up black women in many of your spaces, you should not be performing on a stage of a man who is committing, whose soldiers and rebels are committing horrific acts against women in Congo, a place where Oprah Winfrey, you can call her and ask her, called the worst place to be a woman, did a whole report on it years ago as well. That's what's happening there. When you see stories about men just last week or 2 weeks ago, raping women and then burning them to death, that's Kagame and his rebels. When you hear stories about burning sticks of woods being shoved up women's vaginas or in their behinds, like that's Paul Kagame and his troops. When you hear people talk about men being thrown over bridges and shot on the way down, that's what Kagame is doing. When you hear about child soldiers and what's happening to them, that's what they're doing. That's Kagame. That's Kigali. How could you go there and let this man use you as part of his branding, his international branding, just like he's doing with the NBA, just like he's doing with Formula One racing, just like he did with Kendrick Lamar? Please, you are an activist, and you have an opportunity not to be like artists who don't care and just want to get the pocket. You have an opportunity to be like artists like Stevie Wonder, like artists like Ray Charles, people who boycotted performing in Sun City in South Africa during the apartheid regime, people who took a stand because they knew that it was wrong. you know uh, you have an opportunity to do that. They say that I Just Called to Say I Love You was a song Stevie Wonder wrote about Nelson Mandela, as rumors goes. Like, don't soil your reputation by being part of this. And Global Citizen, I look at your website and the things that you all claim to talk about. And when you talk about being global citizens, this clearly doesn't include the people of Congo. Join the movement changing the world. Like, how are you doing that exactly? How are you doing that exactly? When I look up your about us, I want everybody to think about, when you're reading this, envision a world free from extreme poverty. Is that what you're doing, helping Kigali and Kagame? We are an advocacy platform dedicated to achieving the end of extreme poverty, powered by a community of millions of global citizens who believe in one world, one people, where everyone has an equal chance to thrive. You're supporting a man committing genocide. This is our world, and the actions of one can have a profound impact on many. You mean like one like Paul Kagame? That's why we rally around the critical issues of climate change, poverty, and inequality. This is our generation's moment. It's in our hands. Death and destruction and genocide is in your hands if you're going to continue to do this. And why you continue to continually do this in Kigali, there's so many places you can go to across the continent. You can go to Accra, you can go to Dar es Salaam, so many different places. You're supporting a dictator. You're supporting somebody who's destroying lives. Someone who's exporting materials that don't even come from Rwanda, which is making him a leading producer because they steal it from Congo, John Legend. What do you think is powering AI? Resources that people are getting from there. Diamonds, jewelry comes from Congo. The every one of you are watching this right now has participated in the genocide in some way, shape, or form because you have an electronics device. And does that include me as well? Yes, it does. And they take advantage of our ignorance. They take advantage of it. And I'm thinking maybe John Legend, he's just so busy. He got so much going on. Because he is a global citizen in terms of the work that he does. And I have so much admiration for him. Maybe he just doesn't know. My hope is that somebody will get it to him. If I was to ever have a video go like viral, I would want it to be this one. Please, somebody get it to him or his team or somebody. And for you folks at Global Citizens, Hugh Evans and Liza Henshaw and Simon Moss and Michael Sheldrick, Caroline Robinson, Katie Hill, Black Van Calwait, Liz Agbort, Habi, David Beam, Ife Chooks Adizue, excuse me if I'm pronouncing any of these names wrong, Isha Clark Phillips, Mabili Guerrero, Alicia Hosking, Nicola Ivezaj, Mark Lehman, Mai Muna Maibe, Kweku Mandela, who I believe I've met before. You rolling with this as their chief vision officer, sir? Molly McGinnis, Brian Mencher, Priska Sanchez Mahum, Lee Rollance, Edward Taub, Lucas Turner. If y'all know these people, holler at them. Holler at them. And shout out to Friends of the Congo for calling attention to this. So to be quite honest, I didn't know about these connections till I saw this happening. Sign that petition that's out there. John Legend, please back out from this. And if for whatever reason you're choosing not to back out, can you at least make a statement while you're on that stage? Can you at least not take a picture with Kagame? Can you do that? Bro, like, come on. And for y'all saying, why should the people of Kigali, of Rwanda, be punished for this? Not having a concert is not punishment. You know what punishment is? Punishment is being thrown over a bridge. Punishment is being raped in front of your family. Punishment is watching your whole community get taken over. And let's be clear about something. I've been to Kigali. I've performed in Kigali. But while I'm there, I'm calling stuff out. That's what I was in Kigali in 2018, in January. I love the Rwandan people. This has nothing to do with them. But when I was in Kigali, John Legend, hey, if you want to know, I can give you the names. I was visiting orphanages. I was doing work with children who are orphaned by the conflict I'm describing to you. Because they're right there at the border. Some part of the Congo, some on the Rwanda. It's like they're right there. And I challenge you, go in the face and look over in the faces of over 200 hopeless children whose parents are gone from a conflict that was led by Kagame. I've seen it. And so when I was performing there, I was talking about it. And when I was seeing the Rwandan artists, Rwandans are great artists. I saw beautiful paintings and statues and music and all of these things made. And some of it was like protest art, but none of it was protesting the government. And I asked why. And they made it very clear. You criticize Kagame, you will disappear. Period, bottom line. So look, I was criticizing Rwanda for years before I even went there. I wasn't sure I was going to make it out, to be quite honest. But, you don't got to do everything that I did in terms of calling attention to stuff. You don't have to show up. Or just say something. Just say something. So many people, look at all of the protests happening in Congo right now. I guess what's happening with M23, which is Kagame's rebel group. Look at all of that. The reports are out there. The stories are out there. The truth is out there, John Legend. And this is saying out of love, one brother to another. I'm going to close with a poem. But before I share that, one of the reasons why I'm speaking out so much about you, John Legend, is because, when Kagame came to the United States years ago and was speaking at Harvard University, it was cold. There were only two people out there who were protesting his speech. And those two people were my parents, Congolese activists, who got their PhDs, 3 PhDs from Harvard. My mom in ethics, my dad in divinity and in political science as well. My dad did the work and wrote the paper that revolutionized the Harvard Divinity School that led to the hiring of his first dean. So they were out there protesting their own alma mater. And I do this out of respect for the struggles that they fought. For me, this is sad. This is very sad. When I was in Congo working in refugee camps, I met people in Kinshasa. I met family members who died the same day I met them from a cold because they couldn't get access to medicine. 22-year-old cousin, name was Saeed, died of a cold the same day I met him. Went out with his uncle in the morning to see the places where my dad was tortured and the underground prisons and the like that they had him in. Came back, he was dead. I was driving women to the hospital who were suffering from different fevers and all of these types of things who I knew were going to die, who were not going to make it, screaming in the back of the trucks. I saw that. I lived that. And you tell me what you would do if you walked up to a girl in a camp. They call them refugee camps, but technically they're IDP camps, internally displaced persons, because they're refugees defend their own country. And have a 14-year-old girl tell you we're already condemned to die. Because that's what they told me. And when I left there, they made me promise that I would tell the world their story. And I was doing it before I got there, and I've been doing it ever since. So I'm a little bit subdued right now as I get ready to share this poem, because I don't want to see these new age artists get out there and be a rubber stamp by Kagame and his government. And I want y'all to be out there taking a stand as well. I want the Rwandan people speaking out about this as well. I want the NBA and Formula One and all of these guys and all of these places and organizations. It's amazing how the United Arab Emirates and the work they're doing in committing genocide in Sudan, now they're the darlings of the United States and the NBA and all of these other places. But we need the people to show some integrity. You know, the Burundian basketball team, they forfeited a game for a basketball game. You know why? Because when you play basketball in those NBA League shirts or NBA Africa shirts or those African League shirts hosted by Kigali, the shirts say on the back of them or on the front, "Visit Rwanda." And they refused to wear it, so they forfeited games. Where's the integrity? Come on, John Legend, what are you going to lose? You got everything to gain. And so look, y'all, I'm going to share a poem that I wrote in 2002 after witnessing what I saw in refugee camps. I'm not changing a word. And outside of a date or thing or two here and there, it's verbatim for what maybe a little person has changed here and there. It's the same thing that's happening right now. And you are part of it. And John Legend, you're part of it. My beloved Congo, the joke of the African continent, the world's gold, diamond, and coltan mine, Rwanda's concubine. This country of mine, poisoned with the swine that is Western policy. You see, Westerners and Asians exploit the riches, but live behind gated communities with underpaid Congolese security. So they're closing the door on fractured Congolese faces with one hand while robbing her for resources with the other. And no province is safe, because even some of our own corrupted Congolese leaders are involved in this race, but even they can't keep pace in the face of our Rwandan aggressors, annexing our spirit to their sick and stricken sinister soul, to such an extent that to now call Eastern Congo, you must dial Rwandan area codes as they toy with the possibility of introducing Rwandan currency in the East. The United Nations talks of peace, knowing that peace can only be attained through violence. Child soldiers fighting in fear of retribution on their families, joining the spread of violence. Raping my mother country and spilling her black coltan blood only continues through violence. When I talk to you about Congolese genocide of Western compliance, your response? You see, I know, because I used to be just like you, sitting there smiling while other folks lie dying. Even bought my wife to be a diamond and probably spilled the blood of a distant cousin for it and chose to ignore it. But now I visited Congolese refugee camps to find that there's not even any refuge for refugees. Abandoned Congolese mothers and children living in tents made out of empty rice bags while lice drags through their hair, and their daughters living in despair start having sex and babies at 12 years old with 50-year-old married men with no humility who pay them 25 cents for their virginity and the possibility of exchange for AIDS, while the World Bank gives its absentee father of a government aid, but are looking for a cure for both diseases because 5 million have died in 5 years, and too many orphans are shedding tears as they start dying in the streets at 11 years old, because even though it's hot on the outside, their inner spirits are cold from walking around starving in a capital city that barely has paved roads, and eating half a meal a day can't heal that. Living on less than $1 a month won't heal that. And since you all only see Israel, Afghanistan, and Iraq on the news, y'all can't feel that. And so I'm hoping that 1,000 words can be worth a picture, because this image of the Congo may not fit your stomach, but it'll fit your fingers with diamonds, your ears with gold, your cell phones with coltan, while newly discovered Congolese oil heats your house when it's cold. But y'all still don't give a damn, even when I talk to you about Congolese with polio, walking as if their left knee was glued to their left hand. You see, there may be a cure for measles and malaria, but there's no medicine for misery, and the country being steered in the wrong direction, and children dying from all sorts of infection, and 12-year-old girls girls condemned to death because rich married men, they don't use protection and all of their relationships end in rejection. It's like the entire country suffering from a lethal injection. A second genocide in less than 5 years is gone without mention, along with the fact that we've gone over 15 years until our elections on the Congolese street called the Avenue of the Future. That's when my father was tortured and nearly died in detention. So you have to forgive me when I say the future looks bent in the mind of the people. And you see, I'm also pissed off because they say long live an independent Congo. But I don't remember when it ever was. The international community correctly condemns Congolese corruption and questioning where the ministers bought their cars from. But the world's ears become deaf when I ask where our invaders got their arms from. This is the Congo, damn it, and ain't none of it funny. Americans who work here say it's a great place to make money. Folks with connections from Bush to bin Laden said he robbing his country of our resources through Lebanese liaisons, living in the land of internationally sanctioned genocide, where pathetic United Nations plus putrid United States policies equals pesticide, claiming that they finally broke a peace, but don't let them fool ya, because up until this day, we're still digging up body bags in Bunya, because their role in the Congo supports nothing but violence, a continual purchase of Congolese resources that never benefit the masses, compliance, possible untested AIDS drugs and unsuspecting Congolese in the name of science. Poems like this to try to wake you all up, a simple act of defiance. All I ask for my beloved Congolese people, self-reliance. But when I ask you to help me heal the hurting heart of Africa, your response